Thank you, Shah. Talofa lava, and good morning. I acknowledge the Minister this morning. I acknowledge mana whenua, tangata whenua, and the special place in Aotearoa of those peoples. I acknowledge our Māori providers in the house, our South Auckland providers in the house, and our Pacific providers in the house, and our Healthy Families colleagues from up and down the country. And I acknowledge you beautiful people and all the mahi that you do across our nation. Thank you. Okay, I tell you, how blessed are we to have a minister who is passionate about health and well-being. She talked to us today about happy cities, and I'm going to build on her conversation to talk about happy neighbourhoods and what they can look like from a neighbourhood in South Auckland. I am from the Cause Collective. We're about systems change. We're not a service provider. We are up about challenging the system, and we heard today about the changes required for our health and disability system. So can I encourage you? I'm going to review. I'm just going to reference 3 things that the panel talked about this morning, and I'd like you to dwell on them as I speak to you. 1, collaboration and KPIs and accountability that support that. We're going to talk to some examples about that this morning. 2, capacity for intersectorial engagement and partnership. If we're really about health and well-being, we cannot do it alone. Our minister's talking about urban design and transport. How are we working with them? How can we work more strongly together for connected and happy communities and cities? And workforce development. What kind of capability do we need in our system to really deliver health and well-being for all parts of our community? We're building a workforce like that, and we'd encourage you to think about that too. So, see, this is my first day. I haven't even figured out how to use the technology. Okay. I'm going to talk to you about a neighbourhood in South Auckland. And this neighbourhood is in Mangere, and it's an amazing neighbourhood with all the people in it. I'm going to talk to you drawing from 3 pieces of work that innovation funding received from the Ministry of Health. One is Healthy Families South Auckland. The other is One Love Mangere, proof of concept of regeneration without gentrification. And the third is Do Good, Feel Good, a youth movement. In our neighbourhood, because we take a systems change approach, we always think about ecosystems and what are the interconnected parts of a system that are actually impacting and limiting or restricting the choices that people can make, as the Minister talked about earlier. So, I'm going to take you to our neighbourhood in Mangere with about 1,000 people living there, 122 households, and about 40 minor dwellings. So, in South Auckland, for those of you who don't visit our areas much, minor dwellings can be carports, can be containers, can be garages. And this is the kind of day-to-day accommodation of our families. It's high deprivation, and 3/4 of the people living in our beautiful neighbourhood are Māori or Pacific. So when we go out and engage with our communities, we just spend time. And so we asked our people in our beautiful neighbourhood, what gets in the way of your well-being? And they told us things, so many things. Things like the dogs that roam around without a leash and scare our children and our older people. The young people who drink in the park reserve and cause trouble. The road design. The family arguments from next door, and not having enough food to provide for my children 3 meals a day. A whole lot of individual issues that disrupt the well-being of each of the families who together make up the neighbourhood ecosystem. This is the chaos to clarity diagram, which some of you may have seen before. The scribble part on the left represents all the things that our communities tell us. They are many and they are complex. They represent a set of issues that are symptoms of a much bigger problem that cannot be fixed by a prescription or a food parcel or by referring onto a government service. People often use this diagram to talk about design and working in complex social systems. Unfortunately, you'll understand it very rarely results in that really straight, beautiful line because it's complex. It looks for us a bit more like this, where we have used critical analysis, systems thinking, and design thinking to really understand the primary causes of well-being and what are the conditions in the system that are holding these problems in place. They are across multiple sectors and across our whole society. When we look at a problem just from one person's point of view, we miss the understanding of the wider context and the wider well-being and the wider issues that are impacting on and bothering people in our neighbourhood. And we miss what's happening for a whole community and a whole population group. So we think about where well-being intersects with inequity and results in our families being forgotten, unheard, apathetic and powerless by the systems they interact with. That's a big part of what they told us bothers them. So in response, we look at this in two ways. One, we think about and work with local leaders to think, what can we do now to relieve the stress and anxiety, the toxic stress upon our families? And then we look at what we can do in the system. Okay. So when we first went in and spent time with our neighbourhood, they told us that about this park reserve, which is not even in the picture. That's all right. There were 3 pictures yesterday. There is a park in the neighbourhood, and it's a large green space, but really underutilised, and we wondered why. And when our families told us that there had been 4 suicides in that park, in their little 4 streets, you can imagine what we felt. So we knew that what we were hearing was a feeling of hopelessness and a feeling of inevitability about when there's no choices. That's what our young people do. Sorry. And so we knew that young people, but we know our young people, man, they are resilient, man, they are strong, man, they are clever. So we supported mobilising young people in that local neighbourhood through the Do Good, Feel Good movement. And those young people told us, along with some of their parents, that they wanted to start first by replanting some of the harakeke that had become unwell in the local park. And the young people led a wairua-centred approach to connect back to the land and to begin a process of healing. The young people said, we want some activity in our park, and our team supported local agencies to get a container of sports equipment in the park that the young people and their families can use for their own activations. The young people said, we don't use our alleyways because we don't feel safe, especially the one that goes to the alcohol store, but we want to do something about it. They started a 10-week challenge where they monitored the alleyway, cleared all the rubbish. They cleared feces, they cleared mattresses, they cleared car radiators from their local alleyway. And the work that they did, because we've joined them up to a global movement of young change makers, actually inspired young people in South America to follow suit. Thank you, Star. Okay, the neighbourhood has become an important part of our residents reclaiming urban spaces for them and their families. This isn't just about people walking through alleyways or running sports in the park reserve. This is about building these young people's mental resilience, restoring hope, and equipping them with a set of leadership skills they can sustain in their own community-led movements. It's about giving these young people a connection to place and a sense of belonging, and that's what well-being looks like to them. The second part, as I said earlier, is about systems change. Sorry, I am totally out of sync, but that's all right. Okay. So, you know what was the most annoying thing and the thing that bothered our neighbourhoods the most was the road design. And sadly, especially for my poor minister, it was actually with good intentions of supporting our families to walk and ride more. But the challenge was when old school consultation, where our communities have to engage on agency terms happens, our families don't come to the party. Their voice is not heard. And so when consultation is not fit for purpose, we get investment that doesn't work for our communities. But we are up for change, and we're working with our minister. I want to really acknowledge our minister. I tell you, I've sat in rooms with her where she has challenged agencies to think differently and to deliver transformational change and equitable investment for South Auckland for active transport in 2 years. Thank you, Minister. We honour you, we acknowledge you, we thank you. Okay, so we work with system stakeholders, and we've been on a 3-year journey because the number of people who've told me over the last day or so that community engagement is the thing they find the hardest. We need to up our game. We need to up our game. Come and see us and others who can support you to learn to do differently if you're up for it. Also, there's really something about, we're very blessed to be able to mobilise our community really quickly. So when we challenged, we went to a meeting 3 years ago now. Transport agencies were talking about active investment for transport investment for the Auckland region, a 10-year plan, as some of you may know. When we asked how much for South Auckland, they said pretty much not, and it's pretty low on the list. Now, this was completely at odds with what our communities were telling us when we have, Walking Samoan community groups, and we have people who are out there doing the do. But when we questioned agencies as to why they had low priority for South Auckland, they said that there was no demonstrated demand. So we mobilised our community through the hashtag Walk and Ride Southside campaign, 200,000 engagements, 60,000 people reached, and insights about why our families do and why they don't walk, ride, cycle and scooter in South Auckland. We need to understand the wider social determinants of why our families, the limited choice that is placed on our families that drive them to the behaviours that result in poor social and health outcomes. The good news is that while it has been slow to move, the system is slow to move, the Minister will be aware that we are now working with those agencies on an $80 million package of investment for South Auckland active transport. And what we are driving is a true partnership approach with the communities so that what we have seen in the past does not get delivered again. We use Peter Senge's The Water of Systems Change, represented as a watermelon slice in this instance here. We've got to get to those mental modes, the underlying conditions that hold the system in place. When we think about shifting our health and disability system, if we're not open and our leadership and those of us who spend every day in the system are not open to opening our own mindsets and the ways of doing things to new and different ways, we are never going to get the shift in policies, practices, resource flows that are required. What about that middle section, relationships and connections and power dynamics? How open are we to allow communities to lead our change? And that's me, hallelujah. Thank you.